Welcome back. Tonight we are looking at HCMC. We're giving a forecast on what I personally believe could happen into the next week because the last 5 days have been pretty bleak for HCMC. We started off the week on a price of about 0.0017, then we rocketed up to the 1.8 range, but ever since we have been basically down consistently. We came down about 11% towards the end of week, but lows this week put us down by about 22.2%. But on Friday, we pulled back ever so slightly. We actually finished up positive from the lows, which is fantastic. And you've got to be asking yourself, looking at what we did see towards the end of session on Friday, with that strong pullback, leaving us basically neutral for the whole day of Friday, is now the perfect time to buy HCMC, or should you avoid? Obviously, like I said, I am not a financial advisor, so please do remember that, because this is only just my opinion. But if you want to hear this one, make sure to subscribe to this channel, because we talk about HCMC every single day. I'm sure you will love it. But now that I have told you that, let us jump in, and of course just reflect quickly on what the company does. We're not going to waste too much time on this one. We did talk about it again in last night's episode. If you do want to check out last night's episode, I would recommend it if you haven't already, because we talk about the basic fundamentals of HCMC and a few of the things which are going on into the next week and a few months from now. So of course it would be a great episode if you are looking to get up to scratch with HCMC and know about everything that has gone on. But yeah, just to summarise again quickly, we know that HCMC is obviously divided into three sectors. They have an intellectual property holding sector, which deals with basically patents and products by HCMC, so that's cool as well. Obviously right now we have the Philip Morris lawsuit ongoing, and we do have more potential lawsuits going forwards into the future. We also have this HCMC Healthier Choice Markets, which is basically a organic food store. Now there are 3 of these, I do believe, so far, which is fantastic, and they definitely could be expanding in the future. We also have 8 vape stores across the southeastern United States, which is good as well. Once more, this is another area for expansion. And in my eyes at least, I think this vape store is definitely the one that could pick HCMC up going forwards into the next few years. But right, let's first have a look on the Google charts at HCMC in the past 5 days. Right, so initially we did see a big drop in price for HCMC. It fell by about 5.5%, so that is not good in the past 5 days. And then, like I said, Friday was ever so slightly positive. Now, looking at how this one has been moving over the past few weeks and months, we can see that basically we had this initial spike in price for HCMC. It brought the share price up massively to highs around the 0.0049 range, of course, touching very high there, about 4 times more than what we are right now, perhaps even a bit less than that. But you can see is a rather large increase in share price from where we previously were. Now, I think this price increase put HCMC on a lot of people's radars. A lot of people heard about it when it was popping off to this range. I think a lot of people bought a lot of shares at the top end of this price range. And of course, that's not necessarily a good or bad thing, whether you have done that or haven't done that. And if you're happy or not happy with that one, I will let you decide. But obviously, HCMC right now has kind of leveled out in this 0.01 range towards the midsection of that. So we can see we are now on the price of 0.016. So again, we are quite stable in this range, and we have been for a few days now. So it does look like things are going to be stable in this range. I definitely do believe that is a fantastic thing. And one thing that I do want to also quickly reflect on is something that I spoke about on Friday's episode. I spoke about the fact that a lot of people bought HCMC perhaps at the highs, or maybe even at the lows, and of course haven't seen the growth which they expected so far. And I'm going to reflect on that point again because I do think it is important. A lot of people bought into HCMC, or perhaps even buying into HCMC, thinking that it's going to make them rich. I'm not saying that it is or isn't going to make you rich. Obviously, I already own shares of HCMC myself. I own 800,000 shares, which may or may not be a lot in your eyes. Obviously, that's up to you to decide. But ultimately, guys, you do need to be willing to risk with HCMC, and of course, accept the fact that it may not explode in price. Personally, in my opinion, I am still, speculating on it. But ultimately, if I lose the amount of money that I have put in, I am absolutely fine with that. It's not the best result, and of course, we all want to see the share price explode. But if it does go down, you do need to be aware that that may be the case. But again, even if HCMC is to rocket in price, if we were to double in price, perhaps triple in price, maybe even more, if we get up to these previous highs or even double that potentially, it is going to happen over time. It's not going to be overnight, and again, that is something that a lot of people do need to remember. We see these dates with HCMC, especially at the moment, and also with a lot of other penny stocks. The dates for catalysts, so of course, initially with HCMC, we had the lawsuit commencing on the 26th of last month, I do believe, and obviously a lot of people thinking that on the date of the lawsuit, the share price is going to explode. Obviously, that is not the case, and I do believe that is going to be something that we do need to remember going forwards into the future. If there are any important dates with HCMC, don't expect the share price to explode on those days, but just expect that, this one will be more of a slow, gradual stock which could see big growth over the more long-term frame. And I think if you do remember that, you will be happy with this stock. But again, getting on to how this one has been moving over the past few days, we can see that basically over the Friday, we were pulling ourselves down a little bit, as we can see, but then we actually pulled ourselves up slightly from towards the end of session. Now, especially over the past few days, we are seeing quite a lot of negativity, but again, coming back to where we were finishing off on the Friday, things were picking themselves up. If we can quickly have a look on the charts and have a look at the volume of the stock, we can see that volume was actually picking itself back up again towards the end of Friday, which is good, and I'm definitely happy to see that. I think this could be an indication of more people becoming more hyped about this stock, as volume passed 1 billion again on the Friday. So again, 1 billion may sound like a lot, but in comparison to what we were seeing previously at these highs, it's not necessarily as much as you would expect. So of course, it is good to see the volume again up, which is fantastic. And again, like I have just said, I think it could see HCMC's share price explode again into this next week. So what am I expecting going forwards into the next week for HCMC? Well, like I have just discussed, I can see this one pick itself up by a small amount. How much do I think it will pick itself up by? I think it is hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised if we were to touch a 1.7 range, perhaps even the 1.8 range, maybe even going as high as the 0.002 range. So of course, if we can make it that high, that would be a decent position in my eyes. But again, HCMC in the next month or so does have a lot of things upcoming for it. We are all looking to see what happens with this Philip Morris lawsuit, and again, that is a thing which a lot of investors are looking for with this share price, and that is not a bad thing in my eyes. It is a decent catalyst, and it could have a tremendous effect if HCMC is to win this one. I think hype is still building up right now around HCMC. A lot of people thinking that because the stock price hasn't moved in their favour in the past 5 days, the stock is dead. Obviously, that is not the case. In my eyes, at least, I think if we are talking about HCMC, it's not a case of whether the stock is dead, it's a case of whether the stock has actually even picked itself up. Because what we do need to remember is that so far, yes, we have had discussions in previous videos about this, the fact that Philip Morris and HCMC are extending, time out of court, and this could be influencing something, positively, in the sense that they could be working on something, a settlement perhaps out of court. But ultimately, the main thing to remember is that nothing fundamentally important has happened with this stock so far. And again, we are still waiting for it to happen, and it could happen within the next month or so. But of course, even so, don't expect the share price to explode. But again, looking into next week, I wouldn't be surprised if we were to hopefully make it as high as the 0.002 range. Again, that is a high estimate. I do believe that is because a lot of people are getting more and more interested around the stock. On top of that, we are having stimulus checks coming out now, giving about $1,400 to most Americans. Fantastic. I wish you guys the best if you are in America. Obviously, spend it wisely. But of course, a lot of people are going to be spending this on stocks which I believe are going to make them rich potentially. And of course, whether that is good or bad, again, like I have said in previous episodes and this one, that is completely up to you to decide. I'm not going to comment on how these people have spent their money, but perhaps, these people may spend money on HCMC, which could further influence the share price up. So again, these stimulus checks could be another step in the green for HCMC, but right now I am happy with where we are. Friday being up ever so slightly towards the end of session is good. I think it could indicate to more positivity going into next week. And if we can see this one remain quite stable in this range, or perhaps even pick itself up a bit like I would hope, I would be very happy. But if you do want to see my personal opinion on how HCMC moves on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, I do daily updates on the stock, so do make sure to subscribe. Thank you for joining us for this one though. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye until then, see you soon.